NTT is Japan's leading technology company. It's a mobile operator. It provides telecom infrastructure network applications. The company is $97 billion in terms of revenues, more than 330,000 employees, and it spends a whopping $3.6 billion on R&D annually. Now, needless to say, this company is at the forefront of cutting-edge technology. Now, every year, the company holds its annual R&D forum, bringing together people, technologies, and research. And this year, I had a chance to visit it in Tokyo. And the focus of the event was IOWN Integral. IOWN is IOWN, which basically stands for Innovative Optical Wireless Network, which basically uses photonic technology for high-speed, high-capacity communication, and they believe that this is going to be the technology of the future. The second word is integral, and this has two meanings: integration and indispensable. The idea here is to showcase how IOWN can be integrated across a wide range of areas from network to AI. Now, one of the key driving forces for betting on IOWN, according to NTT, was reduced energy consumption. We're living in an AI world. Now, data consumption is through the roof now. The world is processing so much data, and this is having implications for our energy consumption. By using photonic or IOWN, we can cut down our power consumption drastically.
Another big issue that from the technological point of view that we are kind of tracking is that energy consumption. One data says that the AI consumes about 1%, over 1% of the entire electricity that the human being generated on the Earth. Okay. So and then that is growing. So that's kind of scary.
By how much can energy consumption come down by?
For AI to run AI, you need to have a lot of data being processed and then there's a processors called GPU. Yeah. But between GPU and memory, they exchange, transport, going back and forth the data so quickly and so much. So that's one aspect. And this high-speed data transmissions with a high data volume, this alone requires a lot of energy consumed. So today, that data transmission is done over that electronics fashion. Our first step is change this into optics. By doing so, we can definitely easily half of the energy saving.
Half the energy
consumption. We can make it half.
So there were many exhibits, but one of the most interesting ones was the personalized sound zone. Now we have noise-cancelling headphones, and they cover your ears. But you also have headphones with active noise-cancelling technology that block the noise, but they're open-ear headphones, which means part of the ear is covered, but part of it is not. Now this is important because imagine you're crossing the road. The noise-cancelling headphones that don't cover your ears will allow you to hear important sounds like honking. So it cuts down the ambient sound. There is reduced noise, but not completely. But what NTT demonstrated is the future of this. Now imagine we're in a dome-like structure. There are multiple speakers arranged in the frame of a dome, and they're used to produce a sound wave field that cancels noise from the outside world, but makes the interior of the dome quiet. So when I experienced it, I found the ambient noise coming down by 50%, which means you can be in a cafe, a crowded space, an office workplace, but not having to listen to undesirable sounds. There were so many other interesting exhibits. So there was one on non-invasive glucose sensor, which uses radio waves to visualize the daily changes in one's glucose level in an easier way without having to prick oneself with a needle. There was also another exhibit which was used for evaluating the degree of your hand and foot dexterity. Now this would be important for patients who are recovering from a stroke or sports training or checks for any kind of physical rehabilitation. So the simple technique is it uses a smartphone sensor, and based on research on how the brain generates movement, and it compares it with others to know, whether your dexterity of your hand, left hand, left leg, right leg is more than that of the average, or it's changed, or you're recovering well from an injury. There were also smart and flexible robots that understand a variety of tasks and realize omotenashi, which is basically hospitality in Japan. By creating service robots that autonomously solve certain tasks, they will be able to contribute to many social issues in developed countries about declining workforce and addressing the support for people who require care. Now, how do you talk about AI without talking about generative AI? Now here, NTT has a differentiated take on generative AI. Instead of having one large monolithic LLM, which requires immense training costs and power consumption, NTT's generative AI approach is to have several smaller LLMs, which reduces the power consumption. They're easier to control, but keeping the efficiency intact. They call it Suzume.
We have released an AI platform called Suzumi. Suzumi is a Japanese word of a Japanese traditional musical instrument, like a drum. It's like this, you hit it. And the reason we chose this one is that you just hit it and you get the answer. Our approach for this Suzumi is that rather than making a large language model and it requires a lot of hardware, our aim is that relatively smaller language model while we are maintaining the performance as much as possible.
And how is this better compared to having one large LLM?
There's a lot of debates on that, which is a better approach, but we believe that the smaller approach can be a better approach because it's easier to control.
Okay.
Easier to control. It's kind of similar to today's humans model as well, right? That there's no one who knows everything. Yeah. Typically, you have the experts, especially in a company, you have experts of, say, 10 different people. And then if you're a CEO, you just you know who to ask. If you are facing some challenge, facing some questions, CEOs typically, all you need to do is you need to know who to ask. So that the AI model, what we are trying to do is a smaller model, which is like experts.
As Mr. Kazugome-san said, the debate right now is still open on which offering is better. But NTT, for sure, has been at the forefront of some amazing technology. Thank you for watching CNBC TV 18. For all our top stories and news updates, follow us on our social media platforms.